I can't breathe. Every muscle in my body is screaming in panic as a hollow point of cold steel presses against my arm. In the flickering glare of the dorm room light, I see the barrel of a syringe inches from my skin, a clear liquid glistening ominously inside it. My heart is hammering so hard I think it might burst through my ribs, and the world narrows to this one terrifying moment. My mother standing over me with a needle, my older brother's arms pinned over my own to keep me still, and the sound of my own screams trapped in my throat. Bang, bang, bang. The door to my dorm room shakes violently under furious pounding. I whip my head toward it, dread coiling in my stomach. Through the shock and haze of fear, I recognize that rhythmic pounding. It can only mean one thing: campus security. Officer Kia Nash. The one person I've prayed would come. Before the stranger in the hallway even shouts a warning, my mother tenses. Her hand on the syringe trembles for the briefest second. Then, as if deciding this is too far, she jerks the needle back and zips up her medical bag just as the door bursts open. Kia Nash storms in, knee knocking against the doorway as she pushes past the flinching assistant resident advisor standing there. In her hand, her radio crackles to life. I can't even process all that's happening. Security in my dorm room, my mother half smiling with that terrifying calm in her eyes, Miles still pinning my arms down even as he looks stricken. Officer Nash is a tall woman, stern but concerned, in her dark uniform. She snaps into action without a word, moving between me and my mother, her voice firm. "Step away, ma'am," she orders. Mom tries to stay close, but Nash physically brushes her aside, guiding me behind her. I can't focus. My body is shaking like a leaf in a storm, my teeth chattering and chest heaving. My whole life has led to this, pinned and helpless, on the verge of having something shoved into my veins, heart racing so loud I thought this was it. But the door flew open. Everything stopped in freeze frame. I try to talk, to scream something, and all I manage is a broken whisper. Syringe. I gasp, pointing blindly at the bulging bag in my mom's hands. Nash's eyes snap to the bag lying on my little desk, then back to me. Her jaw goes tight. "This is my medication," Mom says smoothly, voice oh so calm, pitching it as if I've been crazy all along. "I've taken her to professionals. She's ill. You need to call an ambulance, officer." I'm worried about her mental health. She glances at me with those weirdly warm eyes, one hand reaching toward me protectively. I think she's having a breakdown, making up stories. Officer Nash looks from Mom to me, sees the red angry scratch marks on my upper arms where Miles has me pinned, sees the needle left resting on the desk, and doesn't buy it. She presses her radio again. "Backup needed in dorm 3. Emergency," she says quietly, but firmly, her eyes still on my mother, who is trying to compose herself. Mom's entire posture remains calm, lips forming a thin smile as if she's giving a medical consultation. "You see," she says smoothly to Nash, even though I can see out of the corner of my eye the panic clouding her own features. "She's having episodes. Delusions. I've been trying to help her. I've already withdrawn her from school. It says so right there. Miles is bringing her home." "Miles?" Nash asks, eyes flicking to my brother standing a few feet away, arms still draped around me like a human cage. Miles looks completely drained, his normally broad shoulders slumped in guilt. The seconds stretch, quiet and sharp. Then 2 more officers charge in behind Nash, and I'm shoved gently out of Miles' grip. Nash guides me by the elbow. "Come with me, sweetie," and I stumble out, my body still trembling violently. Mom starts to argue, maybe calling after me that it's okay she needs help, but Nash waves a hand. "Stay with us," she says to my mother and brother, even as paramedics flood the tiny room, checking vitals and prepping a stretcher. I'm so shaky I can't form a rational thought. The last I see is Nash gathering the medical bag and picking up the syringe, tossing them into evidence bins as EMTs load me onto a stretcher. As they strap me in, I catch Officer Nash's eye. She nods, steady and kind, even as tears are freezing in my eyes. The moments pass in a blur, moving lights, sirens, and an ache so deep I feel I might pass out. One EMT murmurs, "We're taking her to ER. Keep it steady." My throat closes as Dr. Leora Camera, a tall woman with glasses, kneels by my side. She checks the place on my arm where the needle just touched, taking photographs with a small camera. I managed to croak out who did this, between shivers and sobs. The special pills my mother had forced on me, her system, everything. When the ambulance is outside the hospital, the world narrows to a tunnel of pale lighting and quiet beeps. Everything is so surreal. 3 days ago, I was sitting in an actual college class, wearing jeans and a sweatshirt I picked out myself, holding an open textbook on the lecture table. Now I'm half dressed on a hospital bed with a fuzzy blanket over me, a pulse ox meter glowing red on my finger. Dr. Camera sits in a plastic chair by me, clipboard in hand. Nurse uniforms and medical staff bustle around. I feel so small under the fluorescent lights. The room smells like antiseptic and fear. Dr. Camera's eyes are kind but serious. She's asking about what happened. I tell her, between tears and coughing fits, all of it. The pills I'd been forced to swallow since I was 13, how they made me sick and dizzy, the fake learning disability diagnosis, the note on my birth certificate calling me severely limited capacity. Her face doesn't change expression, but I can sense her shock. I explain how we moved to the old farmhouse after the first escape attempt and were cut off, how I got my GED secretly, how Mom found me. I spill my entire memory. My siblings faking illnesses to distract Mom, Eden secretly swapping my pills with vitamins, the coded papers Natalie slid under my bedroom door with math problems, how Miles pretended to yell at me to make Mom think he was tough, but really he was my protector. Between my gasps, I say the words I've never said out loud. My mom said I was the dumb one, and she was going to make sure I stayed that way. By the time I finish, I can't breathe again, sobs racking me. Dr. Camera is on her feet, telling a nurse, "Get blood work, stat." Hair samples, too. Another nurse cuts small tufts of my hair with scissors, while someone else pricks my vein and fills tube after tube of blood. They explain, or someone does, that they're checking for sedatives and such. A base anxiety surges through me at the sight of the needle and vials, but I force myself to just focus on breathing. A young woman slides something over my finger, an oral swab. She says it's for evidence. I feel like I have no control over anything at all. That night I lie in the ER bed with my GED certificate and college acceptance letter folded in my lap. Dr. Camera has begun running all possible tests for toxic exposure. Every beep and step and whisper in the hospital corridor seems to vibrate through me. The ceiling tiles blur. Somewhere I can feel a kind of steadiness settling in, though it's not relief. More like certainty. Mom's plan is unraveling. The next morning, a stern-faced woman named Leandra McGuire introduces herself. She says she's from Student Services at the university and somehow already has my file. She tells me quietly that the admissions office found something weird in the documents used to withdraw me from school. They discovered a forged doctor's note about profound cognitive impairment. Leandra's expression turns furious on hearing that. "We're going to block everything my mother might have access to," she says. She scribbles something on her form and explains it's a privacy block on my records. She tells me to keep it between us. We don't know what she's doing, but we should presume the worst. For now, no relative, no one can see your grades or contact the school. We'll have campus security take your mom's photo from that ID you had on you and forbid her from setting foot on campus. I want to cry, but I manage a shaking smile at Leandra. "Thank you," I whisper. She's the first person who feels like a real ally in ages. Leandra leaves me with papers to sign, and soon I'm texting my siblings the secret code we used as kids. A string of numbers and letters that means, "Are you alive?" Eden answers first. Mom is on the phone with lawyers. She's trying to get doctors to sign forms saying I'm incompetent. She said your faculty didn't know what they were talking about. Then Natalie, "Everyone okay, sis?" Then Miles, simple and worried, "Hurry." My phone clatters against the hospital clipboard beneath me. My mind turns over every detail. The thought that Mom was doing this calmly, "Miles is bringing you home," is chilling. I realize she spoke as if I was expected to come quietly. Not that it would matter, I never would. But the confidence sends a chill down my spine. All through the day, the hospital transforms into a war room around me. My case rapidly escalates. First, an attorney named Lana Felt shows up. She's a legal aid lawyer, surprisingly young with bright eyes, and she sits at the end of the bed scribbling notes as I try to explain. She leans forward and speaks softly but urgently. "Listen, we need to document everything. Every pill, every punishment, every word your mother said or wrote. The goal is to show you're not mentally disabled, you just lived a nightmare." So I do. I think of all the times we cried in secret with frustration, of the taunts under her breath. I narrate to Lana how in 3rd grade, Mom pulled me out of class, telling everyone it was because I was too stupid to learn, when really I was reading 2 grade levels ahead and terrified she'd take that away too. I tell her how Eden had to force herself to vomit after meals at Mom's insistence on extreme thinness, how Natalie had her artwork burned, and how I spent nights learning secretly from her textbooks. Lana writes it all down and then has me show her evidence. I hand over my GED certificate from Mr. Benson's class at the library and that miracle letter of acceptance to State University, still crisp in an envelope. She raises her eyebrows at seeing them. "This is good," she says quietly. "We'll show the court that not only can you function, you excelled enough to get here legitimately." Detective Lucinda Bridges comes next. In a cold, utilitarian interview room at the campus police station, she turns a small tape recorder toward me. "Just tell me everything again," she says softly. And I do, slower, more carefully, because this is now evidence for a criminal investigation. Detective Bridges has a way of staying calm, even when I start crying. She nods at the details I tell. The pills, the injections, the fake disability, the computer with forged sign-offs, all of it. When I mention the roles, my mom's terminology of smart one, pretty one, strong one, and dumb one, her forehead wrinkles. "Do you have any proof of these roles?" she asks. My stomach flips. I suddenly remember a conversation Miles had once about how our mother had scribbled something on our birth certificates. I repeat it to her, how Natalie's certificate labeled her exceptional cognitive function, Eden's aesthetic priority, and mine in my very own box for medical conditions, severely limited capacity. The detective's eyes widen. Birth certificates, that's the official paperwork. If that's true, it's powerful. She jots it down. I'll try to retrieve copies from the county records office. Good, you remembered. We leave the police station late afternoon and I head to the cafeteria with Lana. There I dump everything I have into piles on the table. My GED, acceptance letter, printed texts from my siblings, notes about the pills, old scratched notebooks. We sort it carefully. Lana divides it, educational competence, pattern of abuse, medical evidence. She copies each piece, a screenshot of Eden's text telling me how she sneaked my pills, Natalie's diary entry about learning math, Natalie's sketches of math problems, our code phrases, phone records of my calls. At one point, Lana shakes her head. This is unbelievable, she mutters, thumbing through messages. Eden had texted me in code when she fainted from forced starvation. Natalie wrote about being too scared to pick up a paintbrush. Each time Mom's cruelty left its mark, my siblings secretly recorded it. Lana makes copies of those messages too. We're building a mountain. From the corner of the cafeteria table, I see a campus help desk phone ringing and wonder, is that Mom calling to interrupt? When I quietly answer some part of the form, though, the woman on the line says, Leia, your financial aid has been frozen. We need a guardian form signed. Call us back. I grip the phone tighter. It was Mom calling them. It always was. She tried to freeze my money, too. I end the call and look at Lana. It's a nightmare, I whisper, shaking my head. Next, Leandra is back, meeting me and a financial aid administrator in a stuffy office. The director's brow is furrowed as he reads an email from Mom claiming I'm incompetent. Leandra lays out our case. She slides the police report from Officer Nash across the table, tells him I've been cleared by doctors to be a student. Your mother's allegations are baseless, she insists. They file an override, citing abuse. It might take weeks, but she promises me it's on a fast track. I feel a small lift in my chest, knowing at least for now I might get the funds I was promised. Meanwhile, my mother's emails keep coming. One evening, my laptop dings and dozens of messages flood the inbox. I freeze at the sight of her name on each subject line. Hands shaking, I open one. The screen fills with big blue text about the sick ecosystem of our family, about how each of us is needed to be different, how the dumb one must stay dumb or our balance is upset. It's twisting, rationalizing her cruelty. Lana's voice floats from behind me. These are amazing. Save every one of them. She swats her pen on the desk excitedly. She's practically confessing her motives to me in emails. I glance at the screen, trying not to focus on the hatred woven through her words. She writes about how Natalie's intelligence would be meaningless if all children were smart, how Eden's beauty required contrast with others' flaws, how Miles's strength came from protecting the weak one me. I taste while reading it. When Lana isn't looking, I forward every single email to a special evidence folder. Each one is proof of her twisted mindset. In those quiet hours, helped by Leandra's guidance, I'm learning the strength of written words as evidence. 3 days later, Dr. Camera calls me on my hospital bed's phone. Hello, Leia. I have your blood test results. She sounds serious. I feel a pause. It shows sedatives in your bloodstream, benzodiazepines, the kind given for anxiety, she explains gently. The levels are consistent with chronic exposure. It means someone has been giving them to you regularly. My throat closes. I imagine the decades of pills, the fog they put me in. She continues, I also want to send your hair sample for a longer-term analysis. It can show us a timeline even years back. If what you say is true, it should show continuous presence. Hearing her so clinical, I blink back tears. Thank you, I manage. These medical results, Dr. Camera's steady voice telling me I'm not imagining it, feel like vindication. They will be crucial evidence. She whispers, this will help for any charges we might bring, and I nod, understanding for the first time that my story is not crazy, it's evidence. Later that evening, I'm in my sleeping gown back in a hospital room bed, when my phone buzzes again. It's Miles. He's crying so hard on the line that at first I can't understand him. I'm so sorry, he wheezes. She made me choose. He would make me bring you home, or she'd torture Eden and Natalie worse. My blood runs cold. My fingers catch the corners of the blanket on my lap. Miles, I say, voice trembling. She found out about the tracker in your phone. That's all I can ask. He lets out a strangled sob. She hired a guy who tracks phones and computers, Leia. He was already, right next to me the whole time. I thought I could protect you, but she's made me watch her hurt Eden if I didn't. She says I can't cry, that the strong one doesn't feel weakness. He's nearly incoherent, guilt choking him. I close my eyes, heart aching. Miles has been trapped too, forced into the role of enforcer, terrified of his own mother. What about Eden? I whisper. Are you okay? Is everyone? He cuts me off. She's mad, Leia. Mom said she's calling 3 different doctors, even now, to evaluate your incapacity. And she's telling everyone I kidnapped you. His words spill out chaotically. She made Eden message me a code. I have to help her. I have to do something. He sounds lost. I promise Miles will all make a plan, that he shouldn't do anything rash. After I hang up, my mind is spinning. We have no safety, not really, unless we can lock Mom away legally. The very next day, a detective's office at the police station turns out to be a semi-regular scene for me. Detective Bridges is back, but this time on the other side of the table, asking me about anything else I can think of. Have you or the others logged anything? Diaries, notes, anything? Even drawings, she asks gently. I recall the hidden journal Natalie once tried to keep, the one Mom took when we fled, and shake my head. But then I remember something else. Miles told me a few years back that Mom wrote something on our birth certificates. I say quietly, do you think those could count as evidence? Detective Bridges steeples her fingers. Potentially, she says. They're official records. If your mother literally wrote those labels on the forms that go into government archives, I can work on getting them subpoenaed. She adds something comforting. I'll also file for emergency protection orders for you, your siblings, everything. We need to act fast. Relief and dread mix. It's one more step toward safety, but also more confirmation that the police are involved on the record now. Over the next 3 days, I scan through everything I have. I find the GED certificate and college acceptance letter in the small folder I kept hidden in the barn. I print them at the library's computer. Next, I pull up a series of text messages my siblings had sent me over the years. Our coded shorthand makes them hard to interpret out of context, but I translate each one into plain English on paper. Eden's note about forced vomiting, simply empty stomach exercises. Natalie's about a secret math problem, division by shadows. A bizarre message from Miles referencing winding down weights at midnight, which I know means he was secretly lifting dumbbells with me under the guise of bedtime reading. Each tiny scrap is a testament to our daily horrors. Lana sits with me during those long hours at the cafeteria tables, crossing off lists and taping sheets together. She's methodical. Every piece of evidence goes into folders clearly labeled education, physical abuse, medical evidence. Occasionally, she clicks her tongue at me, tears rising in her eyes for what we endured. But each time she catches herself and says, "This is what will save you." We're interrupted by a call on Lana's phone. The financial aid woman from campus rings about the dependency override. We scoot into a cramped office down the hall. Leandra is there, sitting stiffly beside me. The financial aid director has a stern face, but after seeing the police report and hearing the story even briefly, he nods and says he'll expedite the override paperwork. It will take a couple of weeks to finish with signatures, he says, but given your situation, we can do provisional immediate disbursement. I exhale. It's not total relief, there's more we need, but at least tuition won't choke me out next semester. Back in my hospital room that night, I delete the Mom's malicious emails unread from my inbox. There are too many to process for a moment. With tears dried, I slip on a thin sweater. Nurse Leora checks one last time for new vitals from blood tests. As she prepares to leave the door open for ventilation, I quietly send one final text, our code again, hoping all of us survived another day of hell. We're in the home stretch now. It's as if the walls we built around ourselves are crumbling, but the wreckage is piled with terrible memories. At the restraining order hearing, a small gravity-tight room in the courthouse, I stand at one podium and Mom sits at another, as calm and composed as ever. Her lawyer tried a last-ditch interview in front of the judge, claiming I'm delusional, that I have always needed their help. I want to scream at her face, but instead I stare down at my folder. The judge has all our evidence. Dr. Camera's statement, the blood test confirming sedatives, the email she wrote about our ecosystem, and Officer Nash's pictures of the red bruises on my arms. One by one, Judge Kindler scans each piece. I see his expression harden. When he looks up at Mom, she appears shrunk by the weight of his gaze. Finally, he grants us a temporary restraining order. Mom must stay 500 feet away from me and have no contact, by any means. There's a hearing set for a permanent order next month. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding as we leave the courtroom. For the first time, I feel like I might actually be believed. Outside, the first rays of sun hit the sidewalk and I blink against the light. My brothers and sisters hold each other's hands. It feels so right to all be together again outside the dark courthouse, even if we are still afraid to let go of that shared tight grip. But it's not over yet. Within hours of that hearing, Mom starts attacking us in indirect ways. Cousins I never knew call the dorm phone, tears in their voice, telling me you're breaking your mother's heart. My old church friends texting me guilt-laced messages, telling me to be good, that family must stick together. I screenshot each one. I walk back from class later that week to find university police blocking a girl from entering. Nash pulls her aside. It's our next-door neighbor from childhood, Helen Foster, a quiet lady with kind eyes. We draw each other a breathless grin. Helen wants to help too, She'd heard noises and the frequent medical deliveries at our old farmhouse years ago, but was sworn to secrecy by Mom's sob stories. Today, she's ready to testify. I hug her when I can, whispering thanks. It's a strange comfort, an outsider finally believing us. The internet throws another curveball. That night, as I'm packing up to leave, I read a flurry of notifications. A post on some random parenting forum, hundreds of comments calling me crazy, calling me mentally ill, complete with my photo from the admissions email. Someone even posted our campus address. My stomach roils. Was Mom behind this? Was it some freaky stranger danger post that got out of hand? I phone Nash right away. Officer Nash sits me down again, even as campus police and IT techs cluster around a screen. We have screenshots. An IT technician tells me quietly. Someone posted your dorm address with a false story that you're a violent runaway with brain damage. Those words slap me in the face. Violent, runaway, brain damaged. They were all lies. The campus is now being vigilant. Extra patrols, checking IDs, making sure each student is safe. Nash keeps looking after me as if she's determined to protect me. You did the right thing telling us everything, she says, stifling concern. We've filed criminal charges for harassment. Whoever did this is going down. I nod numbly, not fully feeling safe yet, but grateful for her presence. Then a curious thing happens. 2 days later, I find a small package stuffed in my campus P.O. box. In it is a USB thumb drive and a single sticky note in faint pencil, evidence. My breath catches as I plug it into my laptop in the library. On it are scans of our 4 birth certificates. My trembling hands scroll the PDF until I find mine. On the page that says, medical conditions, there it is, written in my mother's spidery cursive. Dumb 1. Severely limited capacity. Official legal document. The handwriting is unmistakable. She even signed and dated it, just like it was a real diagnosis. I feel sick. This isn't just evidence. It's a confession from the grave. My throat hurts, chest flips. I almost dropped the laptop. Natalie's certificate says, Smart 1, exceptional cognitive function. Eden's reads, Pretty 1, aesthetic priority. And Miles says, Strong 1, physical dominance required. The utter cruelty of how she treated us, labeling us as if we were patients, hits me anew. I race to Lana's office, clutching printouts. When she sees the birth certificates, her eyes go wide and she actually stammers. In her 20 years, she's never seen evidence so damning. This is premeditated child abuse documented on official paperwork, she breathlessly tells me. She immediately makes copies for the case file and makes sure they'll go straight to the judge at the permanent restraining hearing. Even with all this, it feels like Mom will stop at nothing. That evening, a buzz in my pocket. Eden texting me with our secret code, but this time no code. She collapsed at the farmhouse. She's been rushed to the county urgent care. I call her on FaceTime. Her eyes are dull, cheeks gaunt. She whispers, They cut my food again, Leia. I'm so weak. My throat closes up. I hear the doctor in the background. Look at her weight, 78 pounds at 5 feet 6 inches. This is an eating disorder risk. Mom nods along, explaining, It's stress-related, doc. Just stress from an absent sister. The doctor's brow furrows. Eden grabs my sleeve and pulls me closer. Her hand is trembling over the phone camera as she holds it. Mom was putting me on diet pills again, she croaks. She stopped when the doctor confronted her. Tears slide down her face. I promise Eden I'll get her help, promise her not to give up. I ask if she can get any records or even a name of the doctor who saw her. She nods weakly. I hang up and immediately call Detective Bridges. By tomorrow, she'll get that medical report. Another weapon against Mom. Weeks pass. Natalie texts me in pieces. Her texts are in code but full of terror. Mom threatened to break her hands if she ever testified. I speed dial Leandra. She arranges for a social worker, Justina Wilkerson, to meet my siblings in secret. Justina is calm and collected, a master at coded conversation. She's helping our family plan escapes when they can. Natalie and Eden start making plans. Hidden backpacks, small stashes of money, memorized bus routes. It's like undoing years of darkness one step at a time. Then, at last, Eden has her chance. Late one evening, Mom storms into Eden's room shouting about betrayal. Eden grabs the handful of clothes she's packed under her bed, and she runs. She doesn't look back as she hitchhikes out of the county to a women's shelter in town. She calls me from a payphone, but her voice is light, almost carefree. I'm free, Leia. I'm safe, she whispers, bursting into tears of relief. She didn't even consider coming home. Mom calls the police screaming that Eden is a runaway and that I brainwashed her. I watch the news coverage at the hospital. Detective Bridges steps up and straightens the story. Eden is an adult now, in shelter, perfect health. Left voluntarily, Bridges points out. Mom's report collapses under scrutiny. All this chaos actually fuels our case. The more lies Mom tells, the clearer it is she's unstable. The prosecutor on our side even remarks to me with a sad smile, every time she drags us deeper, she digs her own grave. Meanwhile, Miles finally got the courage to do something about himself. He went and got x-rays. The images are worse than I imagined. The radiologist tapped gently on the screen, showing me the lines of white. Your brother's lumbar spine and knees. Signs of chronic repetitive stress. He's going to need surgery, he told Miles sternly. I'm by his side on video call as he collapses into sobs. Decades of carrying heavy loads, of those 100-pound bag punishments, of constantly flexing and straining. It has left him crippled. I hold my phone so he can see me, but my own tears fall silently. I'm sorry, he wails. I shouldn't have done what I did with your arms with the dorm room. I was only doing what she told me, and I couldn't protect Natalie. I couldn't do anything right. My heart breaks for him. I whisper, you're okay. You're safe now. You weren't alone. You were a child too. He says he's planning to finally leave. Justina arranged for a volunteer driver to pick him up after his first round of physical therapy, so Mom can't intercept. I tell him I'll meet him in town when he's gone. He cries softly, I just wish I could save Natalie too. My voice cracks. We will. Together. Meanwhile, Bridges continues to dig on Dr. Benson. She explains to me that without proof he did something illegal, a warrant is hard. He's not accused of an actual crime yet, just being creepy. She asks if I'll try a little sting. So I muster a calm voice and call his clinic. Do you do any at-home treatments? I ask, pretending to be a concerned mother. Dr. Benson himself answers. His tone is smooth and friendly, but every line on his face deepens as I ask the right questions. Yes, we do offer specialized procedures for select patients, he says, using the word procedures slowly. Detective Bridges is behind me listening as I repeat, I think my daughter's brain is overactive. She's so smart it's making her sick. Do you offer surgeries to fix cognition? He coughs. We sometimes help families who need discretion. We can tailor interventions for developmental issues. My stomach drops, but inside I rejoice. Bridges cuts the call and says quietly, that's enough for me. We can investigate his records, subpoena. He's not denying it. Mom's little medical accomplice is finally in our sights. Then one morning, something happens that flips my hairline. I'm on my way to class, head down against the autumn wind, when I see someone walking behind me. Tall, a big coat and weird sunglasses. The first time I feel Mom's presence without doubt. My gut hammers. She's been following me. Doesn't she look familiar? My mind races. I pretend not to notice, clutching my books to me. I text Nash on my way, the campus address, Mom on campus, trending toward library. Right on cue, Officer Nash and 2 guards arrive. By the time Mom pulls her scarf off and tries to claim some innocent, I just wanted to surprise her, they already have her hands on cuffs. It's surreal to see her squirm and yell, now confined. When Nash stands her next to me, I feel a sudden silence in the world. Mom's eyes are wild with fury and betrayal. But she's under arrest. They charge her with criminal trespass, violating a restraining order right then and there. She bellows at me as they haul her away. You see, you ungrateful little witch. I was only protecting you. This is how the world really works. Her screams echo in the cold hall, powerless outbursts against the order of the law finally bending in our favor. As they lead her out, her signature furious face sneaks one last threatening glare. 3 weeks later, at the permanent restraining order hearing, the neighbor Helen takes the stand. She's calm, but tears come when she remembers. She describes hearing screams through the farmhouse walls in the middle of the night, deliveries of medical supplies we didn't need. She even recounts finding a confused, stumbling girl, me at 15, wandering her yard after taking too many pills, how Mom had grabbed me forcibly and said I was disabled. Hearing Helen's testimony, the judge nods solemnly. The evidence we've laid out is too much for Mom to spin away. The judge grants us a 3-year restraining order. No contact ever. No social media. No through friends, nothing. Not even at family events. Mom's lawyer rants about her maternal rights, but the judge looks at the photos of my bruised arms, at Eden's skeletal medical charts, at the birth certificates where our lives were dictated. He shakes his head. This family suffered ongoing abuse, he says quietly. These are strong measures, but necessary for your safety. We step outside the courthouse in disbelief. It's really over, legally at least. My brothers and sisters hug me tight. I feel like I'm finally exhaling after holding my breath for decades. Even still, Mom tries to harass us. Bail lets her roam a little, and she's out posting things. We keep an eye on the internet and get every violation documented, even the tiny ones. She's filed a ridiculous lawsuit against me for defamation, claiming I'm ruining her reputation. Lana laughs at it when we send it to her. Anti-slap action, she explains, to get this tossed as a harassment tactic. At the anti-slap hearing, I'm inside the courtroom hallway watching through a small window as Mom blusters, face red, insisting she's the good mother. The judge asks Lana about the case. Lana calmly unfolds our evidence charts, the restraining order, the hospital reports. This is clearly about trying to shut her up, Lana argues. The judge leans forward and says, Your lawsuit is dismissed, Ms. Taylor. In fact, I will order you to pay her legal fees by the end of the month. And any future lawsuits related to these allegations will be seen as harassment. Mom's mouth opens and closes like a fish gasping for air. That afternoon, Detective Bridges calls me. The look in her eyes cracks a smile. She got the search warrant for Mom's farmhouse. They found everything. I'm barely coherent on the call. She lists it off: prescription bottles of sedatives labeled to no one, diaries from birth to last week where Mom meticulously detailed our progress and punishments, stacks of taped correspondence with Dr. Benson about how to adjust children's brains. There were dozens of tracking devices. They even pulled up CCTV of Mom stuffing devices in our possessions. Everything is tagged and locked in evidence. Syringes, pill bottles, my little red safety helmet from last summer in the barn. Mom's taken into custody that night on child endangerment, assault, and stalking charges. Her mugshot is going to be unforgettable. She's clutching the paper, all prim and proper still, eyes flicking with rage as the camera flashes. The detective tells me they also brought Miles in for a talk, but it's clear he won't be charged. He explains he was under duress, that our story checks out. I feel a wave of gratitude and pain for him both. He was victim and enabler, all a kid. In the weeks that follow, all of us start giving statements to the district attorney. Eden shares her medical records, the charts from each fainting episode, the photos of her at 78 pounds, notes about how she forced herself to vomit. Natalie hands in charcoal drawings of burnt edges of paper and a written account of Mom burning her entire painting collection while telling her that any more talent would be too dangerous. They bring in the old neighbors, the doctor from urgent care. Our accounts dovetail perfectly. Together, all four siblings recite the story with slightly different angles. Miles weeps out how his knees gave out under those 100-pound bags. We are all shaking, but our voices carry truth. We're not one rebellious child on the loose. We're four traumatized survivors with the same scarred story. The prosecutor says that hearing four siblings all telling basically the same thing makes it rock solid. I feel a relief so deep I can't even cry it out. Mom is finally allowed out on bail, but her freedom is really just spaced a fume. She starts hanging around the courthouse grounds for every hearing, standing exactly 5,001 feet away from us, just beyond what's allowed, staring daggers each time. Each sighting is documented, a new piece of evidence showing how twisted and defiant she is. But the attorneys have already decided they're not going to trial. We've been through too much. No one wants us re-traumatized on the stand, trying to remember every detail perfectly. The DA's office offers a plea deal. I meet with them in a room one cloudy afternoon. The prosecutor says quietly, "We're recommending she plead guilty to assault and stalking. She'll get probation, mandatory therapy, and a 10-year no-contact order with all of you. It's not a slam dunk of pure justice, but it means no surprises and guaranteed time for her not to bother us." I immediately call my siblings back at the hospital rooms and hidden safe houses. We debate it like it's not a matter of life or death, because of course it is. Miles says he's exhausted. He just wants it over. Natalie surprisingly nods at the idea of Mom having therapy. Maybe then she'd finally see what she did. Eden, thin but smiling softly, just says, "As long as it keeps us safe." We eventually agree we have to be smarter than Mom. If this plea gets us legal closure and safety, that's what matters. So that day, we each sign a letter to the prosecutor. We won't push for jail time. We accept the plea. 2 days later, Mom's in court. She looks so small in that navy suit. "I'm pleading guilty as charged," she says in a whisper, eyes on the floor. The judge reads the terms: 2 years probation, mandatory therapy paid by her, and a 10-year restraining order extending now to all of us. My siblings, Eden, Natalie, Miles, and me. A decade, no exceptions. The weight of it hits me like warm sunlight after months of rain. That afternoon, Bridges calls me with an update on Dr. Benson. After our case went public, other families came forward. The medical board has suspended his license pending investigation. My mind whirls, thinking of all the kids he must have hurt. I tell Bridges, at least he can't hurt any more families with those twisted ideas. She agrees, relieved. We slowly pick up the pieces. Eden snuggles into a tiny new apartment near campus. She's still skeletal but eating 3 meals a day, and has put on 20 pounds in 2 months. She and I often meet at a 24-hour diner for pancakes, and she's laughing now about courses she wants to take, some nutrition one maybe. She's started therapy at the Student Health Center, albeit a waiting list long as a grocery line at Christmas. But for the first time in years, she's sleeping without checking her weight 5 times at night. Miles recently texted me from his rehab bed. "I'm doing PT every day. They said my ligaments were shredded. I'll walk without crutches by Christmas," Doc says. He started attending a support group for abused men. I told him he was stronger than he thinks. I'm so proud of how he's trying to heal, though he still sometimes breaks into tears at the slightest memory. I tell him often, "You're alive and here and out of there. That's enough for now." Natalie called one afternoon. She'd somehow gotten a job at a craft store downtown, They were gentle and let her hide a little room in the back to paint in between shelving stock. She started again with a little sketch pad, softly humming as she paints flowers this time. She said softly, "I'm not ready to show anyone yet. But I finally hold a brush without fear." My sister, the creative soul, starting to heal in her own quiet way. As for me, I finally have my own stability back. The financial aid office reinstated everything. I can register full-time. I walk into class holding my books with my head straight. The shadows of a hunched back are gone. In my first psychology exam, I didn't second-guess any question. I answered them like I was supposed to. In English, I wrote about freedom and I used big words and analogies. My professor later remarked I made an excellent point on Huck Finn. In my dorm hallway, I no longer shrink or plan escape routes. I am just me. Today I sat in the front row of my philosophy class, confidently raising my hand to explain Descartes, my heart steady and my back straight. The professor nodded approvingly. Outside the window, campus life bustled. I was just another student. But inside, I felt enormous. Walking to the library after class, I realized I wasn't scared. A cold wind whistled, but it felt refreshing, not stifling. I was free. The label Mom gave me, the dumb one, lay far behind. I was Leia. A survivor, yes, but now a young woman with dreams of college, of a career, of maybe someday helping other people get out of darkness like this. I crossed the quad where students laugh and jostle each other, and I finally smile without fear or guilt. I belong here. The dumb one had taken her first steps into light, because she finally let herself be someone else entirely. And I look forward to everything I'll become.